This is part 3 of creating a user and authenticating using Firebase. So in this video, we're going to be setting up the registration and login form. So both our forms are going to be class components. So first I'm just going to start off with my login form, and I'm going to go ahead and create the constructor for this. And then I'm going to add the super. And then I'm going to say this, or I'm going to say this dot state equals, and I'm going to say the email value is an empty string and our password will be an empty string. So once I have that set up, there are two functions that I want to set up for my form. One function is going to be the handle change function, which is going to look at the input fields that we're entering. And then the other one is going to be the handle submit function, which is going to send our form data somewhere. So let's start with the handle change. So our OnHandle Change is going to be an arrow function, so we don't have to do this dot bind on the function. It will just automatically have access to the dot this. And in here, what we're going to do is we're going to just pull off the name and the value of our target, which is our input fields. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to set the state by doing this dot set state, and we're going to pretty much associate that value that we're typing in to the name that we put on that input field. So pretty much what we'll do is we'll add a name here on the email field and on the password field, and then when we are typing anything into this field, then it just knows automatically what field that's associated to. Therefore, we don't have to make a function for each field. We can just do one function for both of these fields. And then our state, gets updated with that value. So we can even do a console.log just to make sure that we can see it. You can also do this .set state and just do that equal to event.target.value. There's just different ways to do it. So I'm going to say the name equals email here, and then I'm going to say on change equals this dot on handle change. So we should be able to verify that this works. So I'm going to bring up the inspector and do the console log to see if we're logging anything. So we do. We get results back. Now if I try to do it on the password, we're not setting the state of what that password should be, or even any of these fields. So what we need to do is we need to add that same function to our password as well. So I want to go ahead and add the name and the onChange function to our password input field. So I'm just going to add a name and reference it as password, and the onChange event. Okay, and then we need a second function that's going to handle our form. So I'm going to call this one onSubmit. It's also going to be an arrow function. And I'm not going to put anything in here just yet because I'm going to set this up, I believe, after I set up the Google authentication and the registration form, because you can't actually log in yet unless there's actual user in the database. And I'm not going to set up anything for it to test that there's nothing there. So I have that set up. Now I'm going to go into the registration file, and I'm going to do the same thing where I am going to just copy this function, the OnHandle Change. I'm just going to copy it over. So I'm going to go ahead and also set up my constructor. And then my props. And then I'm going to do this.state. And I'm going to set the state of my email, my password, my display name, and my confirmed password, all to empty strings. Did a little bit out of order. So I pasted that OnHandle Change function because we want to look at the values here as well and store them. And what I need to do next is for these values is set up the name and assign the OnHandle Change to all the values. So if I go back and test this rest of the form, then we should see the things that we're typing being logged. Must call super constructor using this. So we have an error. Must have made a typo somewhere. Okay, I don't know why I said this dot props up here. This should be saying super. So if we test password display, all our states are getting updated for our field. We were able to verify that our input fields were updating. So I'm going to just go back to the login field or the login form and grab the on submit function. And I'm going to copy that and paste it into the registration file just so we can have that there. And of course, the on submit is going to handle registering a user. but I want to get into the Google authentication first, then move into registering your user, then move into signing in. So since we want to do Google registration first, I want to grab this button at the bottom of the form, and outside of that form, I'm going to just paste two more buttons. One is going to be Google Sign In, and the other button is going to be Google Sign Out. Okay, so in the next video, we'll go ahead and get started with the authentication.